Hello, this video tutorial is to show you how to file an appeal without having an account in ACMS. So you'll go to the ACMS sign-in page. The URL is acms.dss.ca.gov and you'll get the sign-in page. If you scroll down to the bottom, under the Need More Information section, the first link is Submit an Appeal Without an Account. This is how you can submit an appeal without having to create an account in ACMS. So go ahead and click that link, and that's used a lot by our authorized representatives, our professional authorized representatives, to file appeals on behalf of their clients. This form can also be used by claimants that do wish to file an appeal and that do not wish to create an account in ACMS. So at first we do display the hearing rights for those claimants that choose to file in this manner. For professional authorized representatives that already know all about the hearing rights and program information, you can click this link to skip to form, which will go down to the bottom of the page so that you can begin filing the appeal. Other information has information regarding programs that we often have appeals for. Then there's a section to request a hearing. In case a claimant has difficulty using the form below, they can always call State Hearings at this number here, 1-800-743-8525, and an agent will gladly take their appeal over the telephone and file it for them. If they need to use the TDD, here is the TDD number right there. So now we come to the portion where you will fill in the information regarding the appeal. The first thing I would like to point out is you'll notice that some of these fields have the red asterisk. Those red asterisks indicates that that field is a required field. If you do not put information in a required field or answer a required question, ACMS will not file your appeal. So be sure to fill out those little red asterisks. The very first question is, are you completing this form for someone else? So if you're a professional AR, you would answer yes to this, are you completing a form for someone else? The other thing you're going to want to do is at the end of the filing of the appeal, you'll have the option to add documents to this appeal. You should at least add the AR designation form that the claimant signs authorizing you to be their representative in this appeal. What happens when you answer this question yes is it will mark this appeal for the state hearings staff to double check that that AR designation form is on file. It will flag the appeal as an improper requester. However, that flag does not delay or hinder the hearing in any form or fashion. If you never submit an AR designation form, that flag will let the judge know that the first order of business is for the judge to verify with the claimant that you are indeed their authorized representative. All right, so then as you are going through to complete this, this information will be the claimant's information. So first name for the claimant, last name, etc. This is all claimant information. So I am going to put in here Ima, and you can see the middle initial does not have an asterisk. I'm just going to skip over that. And then the last name will be a claimant. I'm a claimant. And Ima's birth date is the 24th of March, and I'm going to say 1985. Social Security, Medi-Cal ID number, and SIN number are optional fields. You may complete that if you wish. It may be helpful to put maybe one or two of these bits of information in there if the claimant has a name that's very popular, that there may be multiple people with the same name, some sort of identifier. If you do not feel comfortable putting in the full Social Security number, you can definitely just put in the like zeros and maybe the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. That would be helpful. And then the next section is the language information section. This is the language of preference for your claimant. So if let's say your claimant speaks Chinese, that is the language that they speak, and they would like to have all of their information in Chinese, and perhaps have a Chinese interpreter at the hearing, they would pick the language of preference. Chinese happens to have several dialects, so this dialect box will have some choices for which dialect of Chinese they would like to have. So I'm going to select Mandarin. Now, even though they have a language preference of Chinese, maybe they need an interpreter or not. So if they do, you'll just hit yes. For sign language interpreter, this is usually American Sign Language. So if a person selected English, but they need sign language interpreter, you would not need an interpreter for English, but maybe you need a sign language interpreter, so you would select yes. Again, claimant contact information. This is all information regarding the claimant. How does the claimant want to attend the hearing? So these are our 5 different modalities that we have available to select from. You can have a phone hearing, you can have a video hearing, you can have an in-person hearing, and we have 2 additional new modalities, which are on-site phone and on-site video. A phone hearing is when all parties appear by phone. So the judge is on the phone, the hearing reps are on the phone, the claimant and the AR are on the phone. For a video hearing, it could be mixed. So the judge will be on video and the claimant can call in by phone or appear by video, and same with the AR and with the hearing representative. An in-person hearing, typically the judge appears in person. The claimant also appears in person along with their authorized representative, and perhaps the hearing representative would appear in person or by telephone. So there's some mixed modalities going on there. Now for on-site phone and on-site video, these are 2 new options for our claimants that do not have maybe a telephone and they don't or they don't have a smartphone or a tablet or a computer, but they still want to do a video hearing or a phone hearing. So these 2 on-site modalities allow those claimants that don't have the equipment they need to go to their county hearing site and use the county's telephone or use the county's video equipment. We do have WebEx machines at almost every county office so that they can use the WebEx machine to do a video hearing and see the judge. So we will go ahead and select phone for our hearing modality. When do you want to attend the hearing? So this is for the claimant again. So does the claimant prefer an afternoon hearing or a morning hearing? That's not a required field. You don't have to fill that out unless you want to. Preferred mode of communication. Now this is for the claimant again. The claimant can choose email address or postal system. If the claimant chooses email address, you'll notice down here at the bottom, the email address becomes a required field. We'll need an email address if that's how you want to get your communications. If the claimant decides postal system, then you'll notice here now the address, city, state, zip code become required fields. If the claimant does choose email address as their preferred mode of communication, what that means is they will get notifications via email whenever like a document is added to their case. It will send them an email letting them know you have a document in your case, and it'll give you the case number. It will prompt the claimant to sign into ACMS, which at that point they will need to create a user account if they want to view their appeal documents online. A lot of folks don't want to do the online appeal system and look at their documents online, so they can choose postal system. In this case, all of the documents are postal mailed to the claimant. And if they would have chosen a different language besides English, they would get two versions. There would be an English version and a version in their preferred language. Currently, we only have 6 languages. We are working diligently on getting the other remaining 11 languages, I believe, that are threshold languages into the ACMS system so that their notifications will also come out in those threshold languages. The county of residence is for the claimant, so I am going to select Sacramento County for this resident. Country is pre-filled out as United States. If the claimant lives in perhaps a care home or needs a care of, so if this is for the care of address right here, so care of nursing facility Y or whatever. Or you can put in the address. So I'm going to go ahead and enter 123 Elm Street for my claimant. If you need an apartment or a suite number, you can add that in the address line too. For the city, I'm going to choose again Sacramento. State is pre-filled out as California, and I'm going to say zip code is 95814. And the claimant's primary phone number is 916-123-4567. And that primary phone number is important because that is the number that the judge will call to conduct the hearing. So especially if you chose the phone modality for your hearing, make sure you put a valid primary phone number for your claimant's phone number. All right, they can also provide a secondary number if they choose, or if they have an email address. Since this person chose postal, the email address isn't required, but maybe the person would like to put in that email address anyways. All right. The next square is special accommodations. So these are for any special accommodations that the claimant may need at the hearing or regarding their case. So if this was an in-person hearing, perhaps the claimant needs wheelchair access or some other ADA type of accommodation. For example, if the claimant requires a large print or large font documents, so they can indicate I need 14 points or higher document, and we will accommodate them. So any type of ADA accommodation to help them receive their documents or attend the hearing, anything like that, they can put that in their special accommodations request down here. All right, now we get into the actual appeal information. So the claimant, when it says I, it's still pertaining to the claimant. They want to request a hearing due to the action or inaction of what agency. Typically it's a county, sometimes it's the Department of Healthcare Services or Covered California. So again, I'm going to choose Sacramento County. That's where my claimant lives. And I am going to say this is a CalFresh case. If there is a notice of action, you can enter the date of the notice of action. You can also include a copy of the notice of action in the documents upload if you desire. It's not required, not at all. Why do you want a hearing? So this is where the claimant or you as the authorized representative would spell out exactly what the claimant's complaint is. So perhaps it's Sacramento County denied my CalFresh application. You can even go into as much detail as you like. You have a huge square here if you would like to add more details on income or why you think that your CalFresh application should not have been denied. Details such as that. Or you can just keep it simple, and then we will get the details later. All right, so now we move into the next session, which is the authorized representative information. So now here is where we fill in the information regarding the authorized representative, and a lot of times that is the person who is filling out this form online. So you're going to say yes because you are the authorized representative, and now all of these questions are about you, the authorized representative. So you can also have the choice of getting your notifications via email or getting them mailed to you at whatever address that you enter down here. I happen to know a lot of our AR, professional ARs, like to get their notices via email. So I'm going to go ahead and choose email address. And then the next question becomes very important as well. You're going to say type of representative, and there are 3 different kinds. So a lot of our professional ARs, they have ACMS accounts. If you have an ACMS account, you are a professional AR organization. So what about these other 2 ARs? So there are some organizations that represent claimants that do not have an ACMS account. So that would be an other AR organization. And then there are ARs who are simply friends of the claimant, or maybe a son, daughter, mother, father, sibling that is just helping the claimant. That would be other individual. Okay, so if you select professional AR organization, you're going to see this agency/firm pop up. You're going to click on this down arrow and you're going to find your agency listed here on this list. Now, I want to say this caveat is that I am in the training environment, so there's a lot of real AR organizations here, but not all of them. So these are in our training environment. In our real case environment, in the real ACMS, it's a huge long list. And if you have an ACMS account, I guarantee that you are on this list. Okay. If you just happen to be one of those other AR organizations that's not listed there, but you do want to be listed as a professional AR organization, and you do want to have an ACMS account where you can see all of your claimants' cases, please contact the ACMS support team at acms@dss.ca.gov and request a professional AR organization account. We will send you the information we need to get from you, and we'll get you started and get you access to ACMS just like these other professional AR organizations already have. All right, so let's pick my professional AR organizations. Since Alliance for Children's Right is right there at the top, I will select them. And then now my AR's first and last name. So I'm just going to say my first name is Anita Rep. Okay. And since I have selected email address as my preferred mode of communication, I don't really need to fill out any of the address information. I just need to put in a hearing phone number. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my phone number where I want the judge to call me when it comes time for hearing. One of the questions that came up when I did the live demo is how do I change that phone number if I put in the wrong phone number and we see that there is kind of a gap there, so we're going to see if we can try and request that the professional ARs be able to log into their account and make those changes. Meanwhile, until that enhancement goes through for ACMS, what you would do is just send an email to SHDCSU, that's State Hearings Division Customer Service Unit, SHDCSU, at dss.ca.gov, and we'll be very happy to go ahead and make that phone number change on your behalf. It's not necessary to include a personal phone number, but sometimes this is your desk number if your hearing number is different. So if you have a desk number, but you do your hearings with a different phone line, you can put your desk number here. And that's just another way for state hearings to contact you if we need to ask you a question. And of course, you're going to have to enter your email address so that we can send you emails if we need to contact you as well. All right, so now we come to the aid paid pending portion. And although normally these are not required fields, they seem to be required on this form. So read carefully. Do you want the county to lower or stop your benefits? So this assumes that your client is getting aid right now, and if the case involves an overissuance, perhaps your claimant doesn't want to have to pay any overissuance, so they can choose to temporarily lower that until the case goes through and is decided what the benefit amount is. So you can choose, yes, I want it to lower or stop until the judge decides what the right amount is. Or if you want that aid to continue and you don't want them to touch the person's aid, just say no. If you do decide that you want to lower or stop the claimant's benefits, you can click yes, and then you have a couple of different programs to choose from. Which ones do you want to lower? You want to lower your CalFresh, your cash aid, your child care, all of them, none of them. It's not required, so you don't have to answer that. Okay, if you do not specify a program, I'm sure the county or agency will contact the claimant and see that this aid wants to be lowered, and they'll get with you to discuss the logistics of lowering that aid. All right. So I'm going to hit no. If this happens to be a covered California case and the claimant would like to restore their covered California coverage, so again, reading the question very carefully, have you been disenrolled and would you like to keep your covered California coverage? So this is assuming that they had covered California coverage, and because of the action of the agency, they lost that coverage. Do you want to be re-enrolled? So say yes. And then of course there's some choices here. You want to be retroactively re-enrolled? Do you want your coverage to continue even though it's going to be terminated in the near future? You're not losing your coverage, but I'm appealing my APTC. So again, you can specify precisely how you would like to keep your coverage. I think a lot of this a claimant may not understand, so they can keep that blank, but you as a professional AR, you probably know the best choice for your particular client. All right, the next section is expedited hearing request. An expedited hearing is a hearing that happens faster than a normal hearing, usually due to some extenuating circumstance. If you feel that your claimant has an extenuating circumstance that would qualify for an expedited hearing, you can certainly request one. So you would just click yes, your claimant wants an expedited hearing, and then you would provide the reason for the expedited hearing. I think these reasons for expedited hearing vary depending on which program you're requesting an expedited hearing for, but just go ahead and enter your reason for requesting an expedite. This is my very good reason for requesting an expedited hearing. So put in your reason, and this is going to go before a judge, and the judge will either grant or deny your request for an expedited hearing. Either way, you're going to get, or your claimant will get, and you as the AR will get a letter letting you know whether this expedite was granted or denied. And if it was denied, it will have the reason why your request was denied. And now we come to the portion where you would add documents to your appeal. It does ask you, would you like to attach any documents to your appeal? I will tell you now, you must select yes and upload at least one document. If you try to submit this appeal without adding any documents, I think it's going to throw it back to you and say that it's not filed and you must add a document. But because you are a professional AR and you are filing this appeal on behalf of your claimant, you've got that AR designation form that you're going to upload. So go ahead and hit choose file, and let me see if I can find my my AR authorization form. So I have my AR authorization form here. And then maybe I have the NOA that I'm going to add as well. So I can choose a file and I'm going to add my NOA. I'm going to pretend that's my NOA. And if I have any other documents, I can go ahead and choose to file that. Someone asked let me see what happens if I add more. It doesn't. You can add 3 documents. If you have more documents to add and you are a professional AR, you can add the documents. Once this case goes into your ACMS account, you can add documents through there. So you would sign into your ACMS as your professional AR, find the case, open that case, and you'll see a Documents tab at the top. Click on that Documents tab and you'll see on that page a place for you to add additional documents. Okay, once you've got all the documents that you're going to add to the case, the next step is to enter these CAPTCHA letters to complete your hearing request. So I am going to go ahead and enter those letters. Make sure I got them right. If anything doesn't look clear to you, you can always hit this click to change and it'll give you a different set of letters. I'm going to go ahead and hit create appeal. And this is something that I have heard from many ARs that happens, that this text was not properly entered. I know I entered it properly. I was very careful about it. So if this happens to you, just go ahead and hit click to change, get a different set of letters, and try once again. And then hit create an appeal. And now it's going to ask you to verify the address that you entered for your claimant. I know that the address I entered was not a real address, so I'm just going to say no, keep the address I entered. If you wanted to go back and check, you can always go back and update that address, but I'm just going to say keep the address that I entered. And I see, oh, okay. So one of the things, if you click on something, it doesn't look like it's been doing anything, just go ahead and look at the tab on the top and see if the little circle is spinning. It may be doing it. It just doesn't tell you that it's processing it. So it takes a second. Give it a moment. Then you're going to get this confirmation page where it lets you know that I'm a claimant, your appeal has been submitted, here is the case number. So I am again, in the training environment, so the case numbers are super small, so it looks odd. Okay, and that concludes how you will submit an appeal using that submit an appeal without an account. Now there is another way. Sometimes your claimant may already have an account in ACMS. If that is the case, you can assist them in filing the appeal. If you have their username and if you have their password, and you can sign on and you can submit an appeal that way. So I do have a video on how e-filers can submit an appeal, and I will include a link to that video so that you can see what that looks like. All right, if you do have any questions about this video tutorial, please contact me. This is Ashley Lucas. I am with the ACMS support team at State Hearings. My email address is ashley, ASHLEY.Lucas, LUCAS, @dss.ca.gov. You can also email acms@dss.ca.gov. That is a shared mailbox that is supported by multiple people, and you may get a faster response from that email box rather than emailing me personally, but I always welcome your emails and questions. Thank you very much and have a great day.